Hello, my name's Kathy Burwell. Thank you for joining me to talk about writing and maybe get some writing tips over the next few emails. My first book was written some years ago and it's called The Diary, and I didn't know at that time that the story I was writing was going to be published. And I think that's the case for many people. They love to write, but they're not really aware that anything that they write could one day be published. And there's something about knowing that you can get your work into a book that makes you feel, gosh, I am a writer. And that is something that I would like to try and communicate to you over these emails and also in the programme that I'm going to run this summer. Now, I'll just tell you a little bit about the process of writing my book, because it will help you, I think. And in the initial stages, it's a lot like building a house. So if you've ever been past a building site where they're building a block of flats or an estate of houses, you'll notice that it's a complete mess most of the time. And after a very long time, you begin to see some bricks going up there, and then very, very quickly, in fact, the house is suddenly finished. And it's just the same with writing, in that an awful lot of the writing is about the preparation and the mess that goes on behind the scenes before you end up with the finished product. So I just want to talk about that for a few moments. When I began to write this particular story, I would scribble down notes on anything that I could find. I was quite disciplined this time. I'm not always, but I was this time, to write on sheets of A4 paper, but I would use whatever I had to hand. In this case, if I hold that right up, you can see it was just a red pen, and you can see how I began to write some things and then cross them out and then change them, and some of these were included in the book and some of them weren't. So let me give you a for instance. I wrote a bit here about Crusher. Now Crusher is a character in the book, and he's a real bully type, and he's this typical character that you often find in a school, but I kind of made him a bit larger than life as well. And I wrote this part about him. He fumes and snorts like a wound-up walrus, and I just nod and blink. I am looking behind him to see if the yobs have appeared, but I don't hear what he says. Now that bit never went into the book because it didn't just fit quite right. In fact, none of this sheet of writing went into the book at all because it just didn't seem to fit with where I was taking the story. But this bit did. I'll just hold this up for you so you can see it. And as you can see again, a lot of crossings out at the top of the page, but then getting to the thing I really did want to write towards the bottom. So it begins, that's the school bell, the first bell of the day, worse luck. Oh, and guess what? Here comes Crusher Crawford. Some people are scared of him. I'm not. I call him Crusher Crumb. What are you looking at? He says. I don't know, but it's looking back. I dart under his arm and run off laughing. I'll read you a bit more of that tomorrow, but you get the idea that to create something that you really like, you have to be willing to cross things out, to change things, and to make generally a little bit of a mess of it, in order then that you can pull together the ideas that are the things you really want in your story. And really, that's a lot of what there is to it. Now, when I wrote this book, there are pictures in it. I'll show you that. And these pictures were added later by an illustrator. So when this process began, I was asked to look through some examples just on sheets of A4 that an illustrator had done. So it might be that you're particularly interested in illustration, and this is how it starts for an illustrator. So when I'd approved those and said, yes, I think these pictures actually show pretty much what I want the story to show, they were happy then to start piecing together the writing with the pictures, and then the book was produced. And the whole process probably took about 4 or 5 months because there was a lot of backwards and forwards. But when we come to do the programme, if you're interested in that a bit later on, you're going to be able to write your whole book in 1 week and do your own illustrations. So obviously if you really like doing illustrations, it might be that you end up doing more of those. If you prefer writing, you might really only want to illustrate the book cover. That's entirely up to you, but we'll talk more about that on another time. Well, I hope you join me tomorrow. I'm going to read you a bit of the book and also talk about sentencing, sentence structures, and a few tips on how to make your writing more impactful. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye bye.